A warm welcome to all the learners of this online lecture series. I know how each one of us are trying to adapt to the ongoing pandemic situation. The main aim of this initiative is that nothing should stop a learner from learning. The automata languages and computation is a very crucial and core subject of computer engineering and information technology. This is because the true essence of underlying computation that is carried out by computers lie in this very subject. In this introductory session, we will address some of the following queries and seek solutions. What is automata theory? Why to learn? Where is it applicable? And what is the history behind? So, without wasting time, let us begin. The very first question that we are going to address is what is automata theory? But wait, for us to understand this automata theory, there are some few concepts that requires an introduction. The first one is an automata. As the name suggests, automata, the word auto is it means that something which automates. So automata is basically a tool that automates any process. It's a self-operating machine that automatically follows or responds to a predetermined sequence of instructions. Please note the automata that I'm talking about is not an application, it is a theoretical design. Abstract machine or abstract computer. It's just theoretical model of computer, hardware or software. And now this is used in automata theory extensively. Okay, to find out the effectiveness of any computation method, okay, the method will have to be implemented on these abstract machines. Again, these abstract machines are not the physical machines, they are theoretical machines. Formal language theory. In linguistics, that is study involving languages, the formal language is the one that consists of words formed from alphabets, and these words are well formed according to specific set of rules. For example, there are different kind of formal languages. A natural language is the language that we humans speak to communicate, for example English. And second category of the language could be a computer language, which is used by computers or humans to interact with the computers. Now, just to give you an example, when you consider English words are taken from alphabet set, and there are 26 alphabets or symbols in the alphabet set. So the words in English are composed from these alphabets. Further, whichever word or whichever sentence that is produced, it should abide by some rules. And what are these rules? They are called as grammatical rules of English grammar. So also the case with computer languages. For example, C programming language. Whenever you type a word, a particular word, that word should belong to the already existing keywords or the well-formed words. Further, whenever you form a sentence, that sentence should abide by the specific rules, and that is called as syntax of the language. So this is formal language theory. The alphabet of a formal language, it consists of symbols, or you can even call them as letters or tokens, that are concatenated together to form the strings of the language. Each string concatenated from the symbols of the alphabet is called as a word. These words that belong to a particular formal language are sometimes called as well-formed words or well-formed formulas. A formal language is defined by means of a formal grammar such as regular grammar or context-free grammar and so on, which consist of its formation rules. And in this subject, one of the focuses would be to learn different kinds of formal grammars that are existing. So, when you have learned about these terms, what is automata theory now? It is basically study of abstract machines and automatas and the computational problems that can be solved using these automatas and abstract machines. So basically this is automata theory. Now this is closely related to formal language theory because later on we will see that for every particular formal language there is a tool that accepts the language or there is an automata for a particular language. So automata theory has a close relation with formal language theory. They actually are related to each other. For every formal language, there is a specific automata that will be seen later on. Now, what is an automata? All this while I was talking about automata, I said automata is a tool that automates any process. Now let me speak about automata, okay, with respect to the formal language. So now the automata can represent a given language. Remember, the automata can represent a given language. Automata can be constructed to recognize or accept all the strings that belong to a particular language. Okay, so we can say that if it is asked whether a given string belongs to a language, then our task would be to design an automata for that language and then give the string to as an input to the automata, and then automata will automatically process this input string and it will finally tell whether the string is abiding by the rules of the language or whether it violates any language. So ultimately it is going to tell whether the string that is given as input is accepted or whether it is rejected by the language. Automatas are classified, as I just told you, they are classified by the class of formal language they can recognize. And this was illustrated by a person called as Noam Chomsky in his Chomsky hierarchy. So let's see what is this. So in this subject, you are going to learn different formal languages. For example, there is something called as a regular language, for which we will study a finite automata. So finite automata basically is a tool that recognizes regular language. So if any string is given as input to this finite automata, this is going to tell whether that string belongs to the regular language or not. Okay, so in our first unit, our concentration will be first and part of second unit also. Our full concentration will be on formal languages, the regular languages and the finite automata. When we reach the third unit, we are going to study context-free languages and the tool or the automata to recognize context-free languages is called as pushdown automata. Okay, similarly, we are going to study something called as context-sensitive languages and the automata recognizing it is called as linear bounded automata. And finally, we are going to see in the last unit formal language called as recursively enumerable language or recursive language, and the automata, I will call this as abstract machine uh, called as Turing machine designed by Alan Turing, which is an automata that recognizes actually all possible languages because this is superset of all the other languages or of all the other automatas. So this hierarchy that you see here, this is called as formal language hierarchy, right from the lowest subset to the next superset to the next superset and to the highest superset. So this is the formal language hierarchy. This is the automata, different automata hierarchy. So what Noam Chomsky did was, Noam Chomsky basically related, okay, the already existing your already existing automata hierarchy, okay, he related that to or extended that to the formal language hierarchy, and the resultant or the result of this was this particular table. We shall see this further. Role of computer theory in computer engineering. The first branch of computing, this is called as theory of computation or TOC. This is a theory underlying all the computations that are done by computers in solving problems. You take any branch of computer engineering, okay, what is required is the computer should be able to do some computations. Maybe there is an algorithm. Algorithm is nothing but these are the set of steps or instructions that are given to the computer. But ultimately, the inside computations that computer carries out, okay, the theory behind those computations, okay, especially with respect to the effectiveness of that particular algorithm, or with respect to the completeness, with respect to decidability and all that complexity, all this theory behind the computation we are going to learn in this particular subject, automata, languages and computation. In order to perform rigorous study of computation, mathematicians, they work with mathematical abstraction of computers or abstract models. They are called as model of computation. The second area or second field of computer engineering where ALC is applicable or extensively used is compiler construction. What are compilers? You must have already used some compilers, C++ languages. So compiler basically converts a high level language to the native code, or you can say compiler transforms the high level source program to a low level target program that is easily understood by the machines. So you will be surprised to know that compiler design, it extensively involves automata such as NFA, DFA, and you will see later on. So this is the most important branch of engineering where ALC is directly applicable, because if there are no compilers you won't be able to write codes. Okay, and not only compilers, we talk about interpreters, we talk about so many other things. Artificial intelligence in today's world, you say the computation is incomplete without artificial intelligence. Okay, so it is basically the intelligence demonstrated by machines. Now, your automata theory finds it extensive use in natural language processing, machine learning, logic, artificial neural networks, robotics, and so on. In each of this, okay, automata languages and computation have direct implementation. The ace computer physicist Alan Turing is credited to have made a very significant contribution to the field of AI by coining a term artificial intelligence using his imitation game theory. And this Alan Turing is basically a link between the ALC and AI. He is a central figure in both these areas. Computer networks. Internet protocols are designed using a variant of finite automata which are called as Mealy and Moore machines. Formal verification. Now this is a broad classification. There are basically three areas that come under this particular category. Three areas of engineering. Okay. So basically, what is formal verification? It is an act of proving or disapproving the correctness of an algorithm underlying a particular system with respect to a certain formal specification using formal methods of mathematics. So in short, it is basically an act of proving or disapproving the correctness of an algorithm using some mathematical principles of computation. Okay. Now, it basically helps in proving the correctness of certain systems. Which systems? One, cryptographic protocols. So this cryptographic protocols is basically, this is an area of cryptography and network security, a field in AI. A field in computer science. Combinational circuits and digital circuits with internal memory. So also ALC is linked to electronics branch because of category B and C. So ALC, the automata which are there in ALC, they extensively help to prove the correctness of the systems which are specified here. Okay, regular expressions are used in many systems. Now, what is a regular expression? Regular expressions are basically used for carrying out validations. For example, email validations, whether you have typed a correct email ID in some online forms. Okay, all these validations or all this checking that happens, they are done using regular expressions. And what is in the regular expression? It is just a crisp, clear mathematical way of representing the regular language, a formal language. Okay, so regular expressions are extensive part of ALC. Next, what is in stores for us? Automata languages and computation subject. Okay, in this particular subject, you are going to study automata theory, study of different automatas, formal language theory, study of different formal languages, and third, very important, how to do computations, okay, of certain computer problems using the above tools. Now, before we end this topic, it is my utmost duty to inform you who were the pioneers of ALC, who laid the foundation stones of ALC, and who then built upon this foundation. Okay, so do you recognize this scientist? He is Dr. Alan Turing, an English mathematician, computer scientist, logician, cryptanalyst, philosopher, and theoretical biologist. And you'll be surprised to know he is called as the father of modern computer science and artificial intelligence. He is a pioneer of automata theory. It is because of Alan Turing the foundations, a concrete set of foundations were laid for the subject of ALC. All this began in 1936 when he studied the abstract machines even before the computers existed. And what is abstract machine? We have already told you, it's just a theoretical model of computation or theoretical computers. These machines were later named as Turing machines. He is credited to have designed the first hypothetical computer called as Turing machine. During World War II, Alan Turing played a crucial role in cracking Enigma cipher machine. You can read more about this on internet. This machine, it helped to code the messages that were being transmitted between Japan and Germany. Okay, now the problem was that the Allied forces uh, they were not in position to know what actually the secret messages were. So at some point of time, it was actually required by them to intercept these messages and to decode them. That was a utmost necessity. Now, during this time, during the war, they were able to recover something called as Enigma cipher machine from the Axis powers. Okay. However, cracking the Enigma cipher machine was a main issue. Okay. So they gathered different mathematicians, computer scientists together, and people started working on how to crack this Enigma cipher machine. And in that group, there was a young fellow, okay, who was usually considered or who was usually ignored by these people, okay, and he was Alan Turing, the young Alan Turing. And one fine day, Alan Turing was able to crack this Enigma cipher machine with his automatas. The world recognized that Alan Turing was not, any third person. He was a very important mathematician. Okay, so this machine, Enigma cipher machine, was cracked by him, and as a result, now the allies were able to decode the messages, and it helped allies to defeat Nazis in many crucial engagements because they were now knowing different secrets much before the battle began. So this was also seen in Battle of Atlantic, which was a very famous battle. And finally, because of this particular cracking of Enigma machine, cipher machine, it helped the Allied powers to win the war. After the war, Alan Turing worked at the National Physical Laboratory, where he designed the automatic computing engine, one of the first designs for a stored program computer. You must have learned that the modern day computer, its architecture is designed by von Neumann. Now, the same von Neumann was also working in this National Physical Laboratory, and his paper was kind of abstractive paper. It was not a detailed paper. It was Alan Turing who continued the work in a detailed manner, and he completed the work and came up with automated computing engine, one of the first designs for the stored program computer. So Alan Turing also is recognized worldwide because of his Turing test. You must watch a movie on Alan Turing's life that is called as Imitation Game. Now, the Turing test, developed by Alan Turing in 1950, is a test of machine's ability to exhibit intelligent behavior equivalent to or indistinguishable from that of human. And because of his Turing test, he was able to coin the term called as artificial intelligence. Until then, there was no one definition for artificial intelligence. But because of his Turing test, people got a concrete set of definition what exactly intelligence in machine means. Now, these are two American, one is American neurophysiologist, and the second one is American logician, Dr. Warren McCulloch and Dr. Walter Harry Pitts. Now, the finite state machine diagrams were first used by the neurophysiologist and logicians Warren McCulloch and Walter Pitts. Some biologists also were there along with them, some mathematicians, and some engineers, and some of the first computer scientists. All of these were working on a research paper. Okay, and that research paper was basically to find out how we can mimic the human brain, how we can mimic the natural intelligence that is exhibited by humans in an artificial way. So basically, they were interested in artificial intelligence, how the neurons work, neural networks. Okay, so while doing this research, they came up with something called as finite state machine, and later on, this same finite state machine was found to be extremely helpful in automata theory, because all the automatas that we are basically talking about are nothing but they are finite state machines, extended versions of finite state machines. So we could very well say that Dr. Warren McCulloch and Dr. Walter Harry Pitts, they are the father of automata theory. Dr. George Milley and Dr. Edward Forrest Moore. These are American mathematicians, and Edward Forrest Moore is also a computer scientist. Milley and Moore machines were just the extensions to the finite automata, as these were called finite automata with outputs. They were designed by Dr. Milley and Dr. Moore. These machines were named after the respective inventors, and I have just mentioned that in computer networks, to design internet protocols, and not only in computer networks, in so many other applications, these Milley and Moore machines are found very useful even today. Now, he is a central figure whenever we talk about the formal language theory. is Dr. Avram Noam Chomsky, an American linguistic, philosopher, cognitive scientist, historian, social critic, and political activist. Now, what is his contribution? He is called as the father of modern linguistics. In 1956, Chomsky extended the automata theory, idea of complexity hierarchy, to a formal language hierarchy. Remember in my previous slides I had shown you a table. That table was the outcome of Noam Chomsky's work, a very important work that laid a very strong foundation and a link between automata theory and the formal language theory. This thing led to the concept of formal grammar Chomsky hierarchy, which finds its effectiveness and use and the power even today. Now, historical perspective for ALC. In 1930, all this started when Alan Turing started studying Turing machines, decidability, halting problem, and so on. So he could be called as the real pioneer of ALC because he started the entire process. Then in 1940s and 1950s, McCulloch and Pitts, they were working in something else and they came up with something called as finite state machines, and then finite automata machines were studied. Also during the same era, Noam Chomsky proposed the Chomsky hierarchy for formal languages. This was a very great contribution to the field of ALC. Further, in 1969, Cook introduced interactable problems or NP hard problems, which helped to peep into more details of ALC when you talk about complexity. In 1970, modern computer science, compilers, computational and complexity theory, all this evolved. So all this was able to evolve because of ALC. Okay, the entire modern computer science, its foundation lies in automata, language, and computation. So it is utmost necessity for every engineer to learn this subject, so that tomorrow if you want to come up with a new compiler, or if you want to come up with a new computational theory to solve certain problem and so on, okay, your basis, your strong foundation must be through ALC. Now, what are the prerequisites that are required by the students to study the subject? One, set theory. You must have studied this set theory in some 9th standard or 11th standard. Set theory is a very strong prerequisite required by ALC. So in my next one or two lectures, I'll be revising whatever prerequisites which are required. Although you must have learned, although some of you must have already knowing this particular prerequisites, uh, some of you, if you want, you can skip those prerequisites, but those who want to brush up their concepts, those who want to again relearn what they have forgotten, then for them going through those next two lectures, online lectures, is utmost necessity. Second concept or prerequisite is discrete mathematics. Okay, graphs, trees, which are also there in data structures, but other than that, there are mathematical proof techniques. Okay, there is something called as functions, there are something called as transitivity, congruency, then there is something called as relations, and so many other things. These are taken from discrete mathematics. So discrete mathematics is also required by you to continue with ALC. So you need to revise this. Also, I will revise certain things in those prerequisite lectures. And data structures and algorithms. Now, I think this particular prerequisite is freshly there in your mind because you have recently studied data structures and algorithms. So these are the three main prerequisites that are required by the students to continue their study in ALC. So I would request you all to please revise these particular subjects. With this, I thank you all, and hoping that I will again see you all for my next lectures. Okay, thank you.